Hatfield had lived in San Diego County since 1888. He had moved here with his family when he was around 9 years of age. And they made and manufactured, sold, and repaired sewing machines. But Charlie had a hobby. He had something else that interested him, and that was how to make rain. Charlie read many different books. He talked with other people who had been rainmakers over a period of years and found out what worked best for them. So in 1902, at the family farm in Bonsall, he began practicing with different chemicals and in different combinations.
The basic idea for rainmaking is you're not going to produce it out of a clear sky. But if you have a lot of clouds in the sky, then the idea is, well, what can we do to those clouds to make them drop their water? And the usual idea is to put out some kind of chemical into the clouds to cause the water to clump or be attracted to it so that a drop gets to be heavy enough that it falls out of the sky.
Charlie's first paying job was in 1904, where he was hired to bring rain near Los Angeles. After 4 months of feeding the clouds, Charlie brought the city around 18 inches of rain, pleasing the city and officially launching his rainmaking career.
He had done this all over the West, from Alaska to Texas and Idaho and Oregon. People had hired him to make rain in their area. So he was somewhat famous for this side business that he had. So San Diego approached him. Charlie Hatfield said he could fill the Morena Reservoir within a year. The Morena Reservoir, to be filled, held 15 billion gallons of water. It was only a third full, so Charlie had to be able to have enough rain and runoff to generate 10 billion gallons. And they all felt that for $10,000, that was a good deal.
Charlie and one of his brothers immediately went out to Lake Morena and began building a tall tower where he would mix his chemicals. Charlie built towers such as these at each of his job sites.
Now these were large, open pan towers that were probably about 20 to 30 feet high. And he mixed his chemicals in the open pan at the top, and the chemicals evaporated up into the atmosphere and, according to Charlie, caused the rain.
Those wanting a peek at Charlie's experiment saw little to impress them. There were no explosions and no smoke billowing from the tower. Seth Swanson, Morena Dam keeper, would occasionally pay Charlie a visit, only to be greeted by a highly secretive scientist.
Charlie loved to have people talk with him, but he never actually did things while people were there. He was secretive about his process and about what kind of things went on. So Swanson talked with him, but he told stories about the fact that Charlie would come down off the tower to talk with him and not do anything when Swanson was there. When Swanson would go away, then Charlie would go back up into the tower and mix chemicals or do other things of that nature. The first rain that Charlie felt that he had enhanced began on about January 10th. And it rained fairly consistently, both inland and in San Diego, over the next 3 or 4 days. But on January 14th and 15th, it really began to pour. The heavy rains between the 14th and the 18th caused flooding in the San Diego River Valley, it caused flooding in the Otay River Valley, it caused some flooding in the Sweetwater River Valley, and it caused the lake behind the Otay Dam to become full. In fact, a little bit of water went over the dam on the Otay Dam at that point. Many roads were washed out, many railroad lines were washed out with this first rain, but everybody felt that that was it, because around the 19th the rain stopped.
But Charlie had a contract to complete. Morena Reservoir was to be filled, so upon his tower he remained.
Hatfield continued to use his chemicals and to continue the evaporation process even when these rains stopped for approximately a week. Apparently Morena Reservoir wasn't full at that point. The rain started again on January 24th, but it wasn't severe and people weren't too concerned, but it continued. And it rained on the 25th, and it rained tremendous amounts on the 26th. And people throughout San Diego County began to get very concerned because they hadn't really had a major recovery from the first storm.
Downtown San Diego records 2.19 inches of rain on January the 27th, but more importantly, San Diego River is 435 square miles. It goes all the way out to the backcountry mountains. And in some of those areas, rainfalls on January 27th were 24 inches, 30 inches, and so an incredible volume of water comes down Mission Valley. 72,000 cubic feet per second, the biggest flood of the 20th century in San Diego.
People were trying to figure out how to just stay alive during this. The people in the city of San Diego were isolated because roads leading out had been wiped out. The rain wiped out most of the railroad tracks. Over 200 bridges throughout San Diego County were destroyed or gone.
But the amount of rain still hitting San Diego made dam keepers worry. How much more could their dams take?
The Lake Morena Dam, which was the focus for all of this rain, actually held up. So Charlie was successful. He filled Morena Dam. The Sweetwater Dam was a different story. The Sweetwater Dam held, but it held because the rocks that were at the edges of the dam were eroded away by the amount of water that was there. So the water not only went over the top of the dam, but it went around the sides of the dam. But what we remember the most is the Otay Dam. Lower Otay Reservoir Dam collapsed as a result of this second storm.
A 20-foot high wall of water moving 8 miles an hour basically killed anybody who hadn't evacuated in the Otay River Valley. That remains the 5th deadliest dam failure disaster in U.S. history.
The damage that were caused by these two storms and by the collapse of the Lower Otay Dam was devastating to San Diego County. Farms were destroyed, animals were lost. You can imagine the San Diego River ran from Kearny Mesa to Kensington. People could not cross the river. The roads were washed out, the bridges were washed out, all of the railroad bridges were gone. Several railroads that had been built in San Diego before this time were never rebuilt. It was just too expensive, and people were concerned that there might be another flood event.
On January 30th, Charlie dismantled his tower and began heading back to receive his reward. But in the eyes of the public, Hatfield went from magician to pariah.
Along the way, he began to talk to people and recognized what damage had been caused, and that people were very angry with him. And as a matter of fact, many people wanted to lynch him. They actually went out to find Hatfield and to get rid of him because he had caused so much damage. Some of the people on the city council felt that they were honor bound to pay Charlie his $10,000 because Charlie had filled the Morena Reservoir, which was the contract and agreement. But some people were going to sue the city of San Diego for the damage that had happened to their crops and their livestock. And so through his attorney, when Charlie asked for his money, he was told that if he agreed to say that all the damage was his fault because he had brought this rain in, that the city fathers would pay him the $10,000. But Charlie and his lawyer were smart, and they knew that if he agreed to that, that he would be paying these people off for years to come, and so they said no. They would not claim that Charlie had caused this damage to happen. And so the city of San Diego never paid Charlie his $10,000.